Greetings, kindred. So here we are at timeanddate.com, and this is the map of where the lunar eclipse will be visible. So as we can see, all over Asia, the Far East, including most of Australia, and Southeast Africa, just on the tip there. So as the colours fade out, the eclipse is visible as partial. So really Europe, UK, Africa, the rest of Africa is really just a partial eclipse. And America, really, you won't really be seeing the eclipse. Maybe Southeast America on the tip here will get a little bit of visibility, but very partial. So timeanddate.com is actually brilliant. They actually do it in, like, as you can see down here. I mean, this is a screenshot, but you can press play and you can watch how the eclipse moves over the Earth. So yeah, it's quite interesting if you like astronomy and astronomical events and stuff. You know, timeanddate.com is the place to go, definitely. So the eclipse will begin at 15:28 UTC. Now, UTC is 1 hour behind GMT at the moment, but at the end of October, when our clocks go back, GMT and UTC will be the same time. So just bear in mind, so it's 15:28 UTC, but it's actually 16:28 GMT. But the eclipse max will be at 18:11 UTC, which is 19:11 GMT. I mean, convert this, please, to your own time zones if you're not in the GMT time zone. And the eclipse will come to an end, a complete end, at 20:55 UTC, so it's 21:55 GMT. Now, the full moon will actually reach its peak at 19:08 GMT. So really, there's only going to be 2 minutes between the total lunar eclipse and the full moon. So that's pretty close, actually. Normally, there's about an hour or just under an hour between those two events. But, you know, there's only 2 minutes on this particular occasion. So lunar eclipses really do represent the feminine energy, the dark feminine. It's really more an internal event. You know, it's considered more an internal thing where we go within ourselves or our psychic senses really get heightened. And whereas the solar eclipse really more represents the global community, the external, and it's a more masculine energy. So this really is all very shadowy, the lunar eclipse. It's also known as the blood moon. And this particular moon is the corn moon. So it's the harvesting season. But anyway, let's get into the chart wheel. So as you can see here, the full moon lunar eclipse will reach its peak on September 7th at 19:08, as I said, in the GMT time zone, at 14:08 in the EDT time zone. But the lunar eclipse and the full moon reaching its peak won't occur until September 8th at 4:08 in the 8 EDT time zone. So all you guys in Australia, it will be occurring on the 8th for you rather than the 7th. So as we can see, as the full moon reaches its peak, it will be at 17 degrees in Aquarius. So, you know, when there's a lunar eclipse or even a solar eclipse, a north node will always be conjunct. On this occasion, because it's a full moon, on the full moon, the sun is always opposite the moon. So the sun will be conjunct the south node. Since the south node and the north node are always in opposition, they move in tandem. But on this occasion, we also have Mercury conjunct the Sun here as well, in opposition to the North Node and the Moon. I mean, let's start with the Moon first. The Moon in Aquarius, it's very humanitarian energy that it emits, but it's all about the mental space, it's about our intuition, but within the mind, where the mind kind of grasps things. But, there's still this stubbornness there with the moon in Aquarius, just like with the sun in Aquarius. There is this stubborn energy. Aquarius is also known to be very independent, very freedom loving. And we also have the moon here in quincunx to Venus. Now, Venus is playing quite a part in this lunar eclipse because she's involved in this grand trine. She's also in opposition to the goddess Pallas. And there's a T-square here with the black moon Lilith and Chiron in square to Pluto. She is in the house that's opposite Pluto. And with Pluto there in retrograde in Capricorn, it's very much likely to be around financial affairs, the economy, etc. But before we get into that, let's talk about the T-square that's being created by this full moon. And as you can see, the moon and north node in opposition to the south node, sun and Mercury are making this T-square towards the midheaven. Now, this is just for the UK only. So the reason why I'm including this is because, the UK has been showing up a lot in the charts because I'm based in London, so my charts are set to London time. And as you can see, the midheaven is 11 degrees in Ophiuchus. So this T-square, it's really kind of emphasizing that resources and power plays are not really happening as certain people would like them to. But it doesn't mean to say that the pressure isn't on. And the thing about Ophiuchus is not materialistic. So it really is like the material versus the spiritual or the organic. And I feel it's more about the organic in this sense. So I don't know what's going on here, but there's a very triggering situation that the public are facing. I feel like it's some kind of awareness that's growing even more, but there's definitely a karma associated with this. I just feel there could be some kind of event, but I really do feel it's connected to the economy or the material financial structures in this country. So we just need to watch out for that. Now we have, I think we have 3 T-squares actually. So we also have the second T-square, which I noticed was Mars in Virgo in opposition to both Chiron and Ceres here. And oh, I hate this AI assistant keeps popping up. It's so annoying. Yeah, so we have Mars in opposition to both Ceres and Chiron, but it's really Ceres that's creating this T-square towards Jupiter. Now, Mars in opposition to Ceres, it's a very combative energy. It can also create like a defense mechanism within us, puts us on tenterhooks, so to speak. But it also shows like a sense of powerlessness. But there's still this passive aggressive energy that's associated with that. So I really do feel like there's something going down where certain people are not really benefiting from the power and the control they're trying to put out there. Or, there's just this sense of like, You know, like when you're running on the spot and you're not getting nowhere, it kind of feels like that energy. And there is a lot happening in the UK at the moment. I know there's a lot of group activities going on where it's all kicking off, but there is this need as well for boundaries, especially with Ceres involved. But with Ceres and Mars both in square to Jupiter, who's transiting through Gemini at the moment, who's at 18 degrees. It's very colliding energy. It's where our growth and expansion versus our security and stability. So really it's like being pushed outside of comfort zones. And it's very destructive aspect anyway, but it can bring about social sanctions. It can hype up war activity, can also represent a misuse of resources. And because Venus is involved here as well, like I said, in the sign of Cancer at 17 degrees as well, I just feel like economically there's going to be some kind of chaos connected with that. So the 30 square I already mentioned was this Chiron Black Moon Lilith opposition. And they're both creating this T square towards Pluto. Now, this has been kind of off and on for a little while now. Like I've said, Chiron in opposition to the Black Moon. I mean, that's a very traumatic energy. It's a very painful energy. But also, you know, in square to Pluto, it really does trigger the shadow. So a lot of our shadow issues can be coming to the surface. It's where we're having to confront the darker aspects of ourselves. And really, that is so we can find a sense of wholeness within ourselves. So, like I said, the lunar eclipse, it's very internal, you know, so even on a global level, it's the internal of the earth itself, even. So, you know, it can kind of represent even rumblings or earthquakes or maybe volcanic activity, but it's just a rumbling right now. You know, it's normally a solar eclipse where it comes out in the external. So all what I'm seeing here now could be all kind of playing underground at the moment, but to leading up to the solar eclipse or just after the solar eclipse, maybe things will reveal themselves, or maybe the eruptions will become more of a visible situation rather than a feeling one, because right now we're feeling it. Now, with the moon in quincunx to Venus, like I said here, now this is where our expectations can be very high. It's where we're just not satisfied, and it's very hard to find satisfaction in anything. And we can be very projecting with this energy as well, you know, but there is with this quincunx aspect, there is this need for emotional support. But the moon in Aquarius is very kind of helpful when it comes to humanitarian values. They'll join groups. But if you're turning to an Aquarian for emotional support, you're not really going to get it. You will get the truth, you will get the authenticity, but you will not get the physical comfort that the Venus in Cancer needs. You know, maybe you'll hear advice that you don't really want to hear. That's what this quincunx is sort of really telling us. You know, if we're in that emotional state where we feel we need physical comfort or emotional like comfort, it's like it's just not going to be had. It's going to be given over in a way that doesn't satisfy. And with Chiron in quincunx to Vesta, now Vesta is in Libra, Chiron is still transiting Pisces, although, you know, Chiron is coming towards the last degree of Pisces right now. But this aspect in itself, you know, it puts us very much in demand. But so many of us are exhausted right now. So we need to recharge. So it's trying to find that balance in being supportive and trying to recharge. And probably this is why this quincunx here with Venus and the moon it kind of supports that energy. It's like we just don't have it to give. We can give advice, but, we're all out of, like, mollycoddling. So I think Venus in Cancer desires more of a mollycoddling energy, but, with this quincunx here with Vesta and Chiron, and this quincunx with Venus and the moon, it's like we really need to learn to stand on our own 2 feet and be our own healer, be our own comfort. And I do feel that there's this neediness there as well financially. So there's a lack of financial security for many. There's lack of emotional security. And I feel that this is going to be very triggering, this lunar eclipse. There can be a lot of melancholy around this time that the lunar eclipse falls. There's a lot of people struggling, either emotionally or financially. And they're finding it very hard to get any kind of support. Yeah, it's going to be kind of quite a triggering time emotionally, definitely. So we do have this grand trine, though, this air trine. And this air trine actually involves the moon, the north node, Jupiter, and Juno. So if we can come out of our feelings and get more in tune to our mentality, this full moon lunar eclipse, I mean, reason and logic don't really work well under a lunar eclipse, but if we can keep our minds open and really look into what we're feeling or what we're experiencing around this full moon lunar eclipse, I feel like, if we can put some logic and reason, and I think we have the ability to do that with the moon and the north node in the sign of Aquarius. The only problem is with Mercury conjunct the Sun and that, there can be a lot of mental pride as well, where that stubborn energy can really come in and keep us stuck, because Leo is a fixed star sign, doesn't really like change. But here I feel there needs to be a change in the mentality. There needs to be a change in the way we think, in the way, we apply our intellect. So I really do feel there needs to be a more of a logical approach to certain situations. But I feel emotions are really overruling reason in a lot of cases during this lunar eclipse. So like I said, here in the UK, we may see the boat rocking here in the UK throughout this lunar eclipse. And, take into consideration that lunar eclipses do tend to last for, well, the eclipses itself, the lunar and the solar, go hand in hand, because wherever there's a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse will follow. Or if it's a solar eclipse first, the lunar eclipse will follow. It really depends on the year that we're in. But in this year, it's the lunar eclipse that comes first and the solar eclipse follows. So, that energy, these two energies will last for around 6 months. We're literally only leaving, April's eclipse, set of eclipses that we had. So this is like the grand finale for 2025 when it comes to eclipse season. So this grand trine, it really is giving us an opportunity to, make connections with like-minded people. And we will definitely be pushed outside of comfort zones throughout these eclipses, but eclipses do tend to do that. But I really do feel that as one door closes, a new door will open. That's what I really feel from this. So as much as we could really hit rock bottom emotionally, either through a triggering event or through kind of like the self-reflection that lunar eclipses tend to create, I just feel that, if we can rise above all the emotional stuff and get more into the intellect, then I feel that we can be more open emotionally, because it's not that we can't get the support. It's not that people don't want to give the support, but we can't be a mind reader. We haven't got the energy for that right now. So clear communication is a must. If we feel we need emotional support, then we have to be clear about what emotional support it is that we actually need. Is it a hug? Is it a few kind words? Is it encouragement? Whatever it is, we need to be clear about what it is that we need at this lunar eclipse. So it's no good like holding it down through pride. We need to be authentic. Anyway, kindred, I'm going to leave it there, and I shall see you again at the solar eclipse. Sending you all peace and much love. Take care.